Hello, everyone, and welcome to our online info session for the Canadian Securities Course at Ashton College. My name is Lindsay, and I'm with the Marketing Communications team. Today, I'm joined by several colleagues. We have Rika as our technical host, Maggie from admissions, and we have our instructor here, Sam. Thank you for joining us today, Sam.
Thank you.
Awesome. So there are lots of ways to engage with us during the session, and we love hearing your questions. On Zoom, you can use the chat box, the Q&A box, or the raise hand function. If you are tuning in on Facebook Live, you can leave us a comment, and we'll be able to answer your questions live during the session. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, you can leave us a comment or connect with us by email at ceinfo@ashtoncollege.ca or give us a call at 604-891-1256. We also have a toll-free number, and that is 1-866-759-6006. Awesome. So let's get on with the questions. So Sam, could you share with us a little about your experience, your educational background, and what brought you to teaching?
Maybe let's start with my educational background. So educationally, academically, I've got master's degree in applied technology. Then I did an MBA, and then I did a master's degree in financial law. So did that, and then I was back in Australia. When I moved here, I did the Canadian Securities Course and the Investment Funds in Canada course. That was a long time ago. That was back in 2000. I was 23 then. Okay. Now, after that Canadian Securities Course, the whole securities industry has changed quite a lot ever since 9/11. You know, the industry's become much more regulated, tightly regulated. It's become, Canadian Securities Course has undergone quite a transformation there. Right now it's 2 volumes. At that time, we just had 1 volume. Like everything was done in one book. And like right now, as an example, I take, if I have 25 chapters in the 2 volumes together, at that time, all of that was combined into 23 chapters in 1 book, and we all had to write the exam, 3 hours exam, and quite a different time. But my father used to also be a part of the visiting faculty at a university in Australia, so I used to love watching him teach, and that's how I developed a passion for teaching as a hobby for myself, and I love doing that. So I love interacting with students, and I love interacting with new faces, people who are different walks of life, experienced, non-experienced, newer people who are just coming into the industry, and I get a fresh perspective from everybody. So it's absolutely very enthralling for me.
That's awesome. So for people who are newer to the field, can you give us some examples of what common securities are or investments? It was new to me. I was not sure what it was.
No, absolutely. For people who are coming into the industry and wanting to join the industry and start a career in the financial services and security industry, one of the most important things that they will have to focus on is to, if they want to follow the wealth management path in the financial services industry, they'll have to very much focus on knowing all about investments, and also knowing what different regulations and requirements are there in order to be involved in marketing, selling various types of investments in Canada. So a couple of things, as an example, I give you, and I'm sure a lot of students probably do this. They contribute to their RRSPs every year, and they've probably been told or advised, why don't you invest in mutual funds? Okay. Mutual funds, that is an investment vehicle, which is like, if you had a basket, right? And in the basket, you had 10 different kinds of fruits in there. A mutual fund is like that basket, and within that basket, you've got a lot of different securities, like all those fruits and all individual fruits, they represent securities, right? In the financial industry. So you will get to learn a lot about mutual funds and common shares, stocks of different companies, and preferred shares and bonds and different kind of investment options that are there. Most commonly ones used ones are bonds, mutual funds, and shares, stocks. And you need to have the knowledge about what you're selling, right? There is a part called Know Your Product, KYP. Just like in the industry, we have something called a KYC, Know Your Client. Also, to match with KYC is KYP, which is Know Your Product. You have to know about all these in order to be able to sell, right? And you'll get to learn all about mutual funds, about common shares, bonds. How do you, evaluate them? How do you sell them? What are the important rules and regulations to follow? What is allowed? What is not allowed? Uh, and for doing that, you have to pass the Canadian Securities Course in order to be eligible to get a license to sell investments. So
Okay.
most with the Canadian Securities Course, you end up you're allowed you start with mutual funds. If you want to go sell shares and all, then you have to do the Canadian Securities Course. Then you have a conducts and practices handbook exam. All of those two put together, that will allow you to go and sell shares. Now, on top of this, if you want to become a financial planner, that your passion is that you want to sit across with people and help them with planning their finances for them, help them for planning their retirement income, okay, help them with planning a down payment for a house or
Hmm.
a condo, or for any other like planning on how to save for your children's education when they grow up. That's something we call a professional financial planner.
Okay,
Okay.
so what is the CSC designation though? Because a financial planner is something different. So what's the CSC one?
Canadian Securities Course is the basic building block of
Hmm.
getting to be a financial planner.
Okay.
Okay. This is the first step that you take. And with this step, you get the license. I mean, once you join an organization, you get the license to sell
Hmm.
mutual funds. You take the conducts and practices handbook exam after the Canadian Securities Course. You get you get the license to be able to sell common shares. I mean, stocks.
Okay.
People, so you could work for a brokerage like Scotia McLeod, BMO Nesbitt Burns, CIBC Wood Gundy, or RBC Dominion Securities, and you would work over there, and you'd be able to have clients and do trading for them, for stocks, for bonds, for mutual funds, all of that. But to take your career further ahead, right?
Hmm.
That's a natural path for a lot of advisors to follow to get their financial planning designation. But Canadian Securities is the first step you take to move towards that goal.
Okay, so talking about the course, so what is the general structure of the course and what main topics do you cover?
Okay. So the course is structured into two parts. Okay. You have first volume, the two volumes that will be provided by the Canadian Securities Institute. Volume one will focus on the investments, the basics, and how to read financial statements, what different kind of investment products are there, how do they, how can, what are their features, how do they trade on on the exchange? Are they, you have things to do, talk about like if you're selling a mutual fund, or even if you're selling a share, a stock, like for example, Apple, right? For
Hmm.
your client, you should be able to read financial statements of that company in order to tell the client about, look, this is a great company. Okay, these are the reasons I feel that it's great. These are the certain ratios. These are certain parameters within which everything falls in, and be able to recommend that. But knowing what different kinds of investments are there is very important. Knowing that if you're going to sell any investment to a client, you need to understand, are they going to be one of those kind, if you give them a particular type of investment which is kind of volatile, it goes up and down, that is, are they
Hmm.
going to spend sleepless nights? Okay. In other words, are they highly risk averse, or
Okay.
are they willing to take on more risk? You have to determine all of that, and then that's when you decide whether you are able to recommend an appropriate product for a client or not to invest in. So
Wow.
it's a very meticulous process, interesting,
Mhm.
meticulous, and it really helps you. Okay, once you get used to it, it becomes it's like breathing in, breathing out air all the time, right? It also becomes a very much important part of your system.
It sounds like this course could also be beneficial just for someone who wants to know where their investment's going or where they should invest. Because you hear everyone talk about stocks or where they should invest, but I feel like it takes a lot of work and education to figure out what's best. Like for someone my age, it's hard to really know what I should be doing.
Well, I in the previous courses, and look, I've been teaching with Ashton College since 2012.
Mhm.
So I've come across like each year I've at least had about two groups of students that I've taught. So you can see that for 8 years I've been teaching. It's been like almost 16 groups of students that I've had. I've had a lot of students in the group who were not there to start a career in this field, who were there
Mhm.
more to understand about how investments work, because they like taking decisions on their own on where to invest, how to invest, what kind of strategies do they follow in investing, whether it's mutual funds, bonds, or alternative funds like exchange traded funds and all, or stocks. So they learned a lot, got a lot
Mhm.
out of it, and were able to move forward. And actually, a couple of them got so interested that they now are working in a bank, separate banks. But yeah, it kind of helped them, gave them an idea about what kind of career line they want to choose in their life.
That's awesome. That's good for them.
Yeah.
So, could you describe your teaching style?
Uh, for me, with this COVID, the pandemic, online teaching is quite a new is quite a new concept in a way. I have been traditionally, I am old school. I love being in the class in front of all the students, interacting with them individually. Having a whiteboard behind me so that I can write and scribble and show them, give them examples. But adapting to this new environment, what I always tend to do is I always start off by discussing about what we're going to study, what all important topics we're going to cover in the class, how I mean, what are the in like I'll put milestones. If it's a 3 hour class, at the end of the first hour, we would have covered this much from this chapter. The second hour, we'd covered this much. Third hour, the balance of the amount. I like to share my slides, PowerPoint slides that I have created for students to know what important topics we're focusing on. I will also share examples, excerpts from different sources, resources I have to explain something better. If students are not able to understand, I'll share them. I'll also bring online, share on the screen the textbook. And during this time, I will also be not just discussing theory, also will be, where applicable, I will also be working on doing mathematical problems, or kind of case problems, like calculating the price of a stock, or how much dividend will come out, when it's going to come out. That's as an example I'm saying, or calculating the net asset value per unit for a mutual fund, or how derivatives are sold or bought and all that. I'll share live examples. I'll share cutouts from the Financial Post and the Globe and Mail business section on quotes and important news in the securities industry that may have happened during the week. And we've structured all of this over 12 weeks, 12 sessions. Okay, 3 hours each. each session, all spread out over 12 weeks. Normally,
Perfect.
we'll try to finish about 2 units per session, and
Mhm.
it's not at all hard. It's I like to go at a good pace so that everybody is understanding um, every concept or fundamentals of the course. That's my goal. I mean, at the end of the day, if the students are successful, then of course I'm going to be successful, right? I'll be happy too. So
Excellent.
yeah.
So you already kind of started to talk about the next question, but what are your expectations of the students who enroll in this course, and how much time will they be spending on assignments and reviewing the material outside of class?
So the benefit of this course is that there are no assignments. However, I do give them quizzes at the end of every session and ask them to answer them and return them to me by email within a day. Okay, and I do discuss the quizzes with in the next class. I do spend 15 minutes going over certain. I look at most the question that has been most often answered incorrectly. I'll look at those and I'll go over those with the students. But I will always tell them at the end of the class that, look, next week when we meet, I need you to skim through or at least read through uh, certain chapters that we're going to start covering next week. These are all adult students. They're all grown up, so they're not kindergarten kids. So I won't be spoon feeding them. I'll be very clear about that with them. I don't believe in spoon feeding. I believe that if I'm making an effort to teach them, they also have to make an effort from their side in order to understand, to study, and have a disciplined approach to studying and passing this course. And that is the most important thing. Okay, disciplined approach.
Perfect. Yeah, I agree. If you spoon feed, no one's gonna comprehend or
Yeah.
fully understand. They're just gonna memorize and be like, okay, sure, I understand when they don't understand at all. That's awesome. I love that. Perfect. So the course description also mentions a few different streams students can pursue after they get their CSC designation. It's like the Canadian Investment Manager, the Financial Management Advisor designation streams. Can you tell us a little bit more about these other paths?
The FMA, the Financial Management Advisor, is more of a stream that if you want to go and work in as a financial planner, as a financial advisor. So, as an example, I can give you CIBC Imperial Service is there, or private banking, or even independent financial planners, or brokerage houses. You want to work over there as a financial planner, absolutely. Uh, and even banks, the retail sections of the bank, the branches that is, they also have financial planners attached to each and every branch in almost all banks I know of. So what will happen is that this financial planner will be able to help uh, guide clients in helping them with their personal finances and knowing what like where to invest, how to invest, and following it up with them. A financial planner's job is not very easy. It's interesting. They have to be on top of the game all the time because it's clients' money at stake, right? Their future at stake. So I have I have personally found that a financial planner is a very, very good resource, especially if I need to save. And I'm one of those not a spendthrift guy, more of those. I do have a taste for expensive things, so I've had to be very disciplined, and my financial planners have helped me to become disciplined and start saving money. And I have seen the results, and it's amazing. Okay, even last year when we went through the recession, when we went through the market crash and everything, the way they were balancing our portfolios, our funds, our securities, and all, and keeping an eye on, they were able to help minimize the losses, which was very impressive. And by the way, just to let you know, if I haven't given my background, I do work for the National Bank of Canada. I have I started my banking career in 1999, No, 98. Uh, when the reason I tend to suppress the memory of 98 is because I was sent off to the Yukon by
Oh,
its
okay.
medical team. So I had to spend a year in the Yukon. For a person who's never been used to such cold conditions, that was quite an eye opener.
Okay, coming from
Uh,
Australia, that's a big
yeah,
difference.
so that was kind of fun. Minus 50 degrees, minus 56 degrees, with the wind chill factor and all. Yeah, that was amazing. Like 3 months, 4 months of summer with um, well, full, like the sun's out all the time. Just amazing. Okay. So I've had since 1998, so 2023, it'll be 23 years in July. I've been in the banking world. Okay.
Okay.
I worked for CIBC, I worked for the Bank of Montreal, and now I work for the National Bank. I work as a managing director for BC for commercial banking. But teaching, as I said, is a hobby that I've been doing. It's a passion. It's like what do you call a stress buster?
Okay, awesome.
I mean, so I love doing that. Okay.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Perfect. So what kind of job opportunities are available for students who specialize in securities?
Let's see. So once you do a Canadian Securities course, the first step would be to apply for a financial services representative position or an associate advisor position. Financial services rep would be somewhere in a bank. Okay. Uh, Associate advisor, investment advisor position would be somewhere in a brokerage house or even independent financial planner. You can start with that, or you can start with the administration side of it, where you're handling all the orders. Okay, and that's where you get your experience in seeing how orders come, how their transactions are completed. Okay, and what do you have to do? What are the rules involved in that? There's rules everywhere. Okay, it's highly regulated, and that's a good thing because we in Canada are lucky, okay, to have a highly regulated environment because that cuts the risk of fraud in the market. All right, the last time we had some fraud was back in the 90s when 90s and early 2000s. That was BRIEX fraud, but after that, haven't had many big frauds in the securities industries, other than those minor small ones where people have acted as on their own, recklessly and all. So that kind of a thing. But yeah, you can apply for financial services representative positions. I've had some students from our Ashton College that I was able to, we've employed some in National Bank as well. I've recommended them through my contact and my network to Bank of Montreal, to CIBC, where they've interviewed, they've got jobs, they're very happy about that. So it's not hard to find a job if you have the right attitude. You have the education. The education is definitely going to provide you a very strong. It's a strong asset for you, but with the education also comes the common sense approach and the attitude. And I think all three of them are the lethal combination to get the perfect job that you are wanting in the financial services industry.
Awesome. So what are your thoughts on the labor market and the current demand for experts in this area?
Well, Canada's population is started to grow old. Okay, and well, they say the word they use, the baby boomers, right, are all approaching the retirement age, and the age population is aging fast, and we're not having enough. We're not producing enough babies in this country to increase the population, as I said. So Canada's government has focused a lot on the immigration policy of increasing the number of immigrant intake per year. They've gone this, like last year in 2020, even though there was a pandemic, we had I think we had there were about 300,000 immigrants that came into the country, and out of which about I'd say about between 70 and 100,000 moved to BC. Now, BC is very popular among the the new immigrants, given that there's a sizable immigrant population in BC and Ontario and Quebec. These are the three provinces, and Alberta is the fourth, where you'll find a whole lot of new immigrants tend to move to these places. Now we're seeing a phenomena where they're also starting to move to smaller towns and cities and succeeding over there. So our population is growing, okay? And the more the population is, the more people are going to be here. They will need more financial planning, okay, to prepare for their retirement. At some point or the other, they'll need to have some planning to, like, they all want to buy homes. It's everybody's dream to have to own a home, right? Because it offers sort of a stability. So, as I said, that will continue to the demand for financial planners, the demand for financial services,
Mhm.
investments, RRSPs, all of that will continue to increase in the next, at least the next 2 decades. And Canada's goal is to increase the population. Uh, we're about 36 million people right now. The goal is to increase the population to about 60 million in the next in the next
Wow.
by in the next 30 to 40 years. Okay. So I mean, let's see how that goes. It's going well. They
Mhm.
want to increase the cap on immigration, but then the infrastructure has to be in place. And if the infrastructure is there, of course, then they're able to absorb all the immigrants coming in. And that's why you will see the economy will continue to grow with
Mhm.
the occasional soft landings that we may have in order to cool down the economy. But overall, the economy will continue to grow. The demand will continue to go up as well. The financial services industry is changing a lot. The whole the face of the industry has is not like what it used to be in the 80s or the 90s or even the 2000s. Okay. We have all the fintech companies that have come into the picture. Banks are moving more and more towards electronic banking. Uh, Branches are becoming even more irrelevant because today you could sit at your home, just pick up your phone,
Mhm.
take a picture with your phone of your check that you want to deposit and do it. But then checks are also becoming very rare, people writing checks, because now I can just get online onto my account, onto the website, online banking, and just interact or send money by interact to whoever I want, right? I don't
Mhm.
need to pay checks now, right? So all of that. So the face of the industry is changing, the whole landscape. So it's going to be continue to evolve as well, and we as people working in the industry will also have to adapt and evolve with the industry. And this course that we are doing is a step towards that. Helps us understand the industry, helps us to move along with the move with the changes, okay, and
Sounds
keeps us up to date.
exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So if a question that people always love is how much can our students expect to make after they graduate?
uh a financial services representative who is licensed to sell mutual funds can be expected to make anywhere between 50 and $70,000, depending upon how how assertive they are, uh, how what kind of network they have when they join, and what, and of course, everything in the industry or anywhere in life depends upon the results you produce, right? So yes, it can be. I know of people who are now financial advisors in Imperial Service, CIBC Imperial Service. They make about $150,000 a year. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, they've become they've progressed through their career in the banking world from a financial services representative to a senior advisor to a financial advisor who is also a financial planner, and you can expect anywhere. I mean, anywhere from 100, like anywhere from 75 to $150,000 income. Yes, absolutely.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Times have changed. When I started, okay, when I started back in 1998,
Hmm.
$40,000 was the norm of the day. Okay, a year.
Hmm.
But then everything's expensive now, right? So
Perfect.
that's why.
Awesome. So what do you think students will enjoy most about the course?
I think students are going to enjoy the part about getting to know your customer, how to recommend investments to them, how to determine what they qualify for, what is appropriate for them. It's called the getting to know your client. It's called the know your client, know your product, recommend, follow it, monitor it, where and make changes. All the whole process, a strategic investment process. They're going to love that because it helps them understand. It gives a glimpse into the real world to see
Hmm.
how that's how advisors help their clients in setting goals for the future, financial goals, for the retirement or for buying homes, and and helping them throughout. So I have known about financial advisors who've had they onboarded certain clients when they were in the mid 20s, and now when they're in the 50s, okay, the clients as well, and they've been with them ever since, and they've progressed through life, and life, goals change as you go through each stages of life, and they have been there, and these guys have managed them pretty much for the lifetime. And that's one of the things about being in this position, is that when you bring on a client, most likely that client's going to stay on with you for a long time, and you can watch them grow, you can watch them succeed, and you succeed as a result, and it's a win-win situation.
That's awesome. Wow. So is there a lot of interaction during the classes? And is there a chat box function or a discussion forum for in between classes to chat?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I always try to do is start the class with a conversation, a chat about uh, what the students liked about the previous chapter we did, what did they understand, what did they not understand, as to how was the week, have they been able to kind of associate anything that they learned with what's happening if they're working in the financial services industry, to see if they can associate anything or not. Uh, and I always try to judge or gauge is a better word, their excitement levels, because their excitement level may not be as high compared to last class, because all of a sudden they've realized that there's something they couldn't understand, but they can't pinpoint it.
Hmm.
So there's a bit of fear. So I always tend to make sure that I ask each and every student about if there's anything that needs to be discussed, understood. I always provide them with my phone number, my email address. They can call me normally anytime before 11 o'clock, because after 11, I am sleeping, like a log. so, so I have done that during the work days, during the work hours. I ask them, I'm respectful of their time as well as expect the same. I do ask them, send me an email or a text
Hmm.
message saying, hey, this is the thing that I'm having a problem with. I can't understand. Can you please set a time when we can chat? And I will always accommodate them the same day. Okay. To talk to them most likely in late afternoon, evening time, and spend time. So I am happy to volunteer extra hours on my own volition to help out the students, because this is a very important journey they've taken. Okay.
Hmm.
And they need to succeed. And because it also helps their self confidence and confidence levels to boost up.
It sounds like you care about your students so much, and I love that. That's awesome. So next question, what
Sure.
does success look like in this course, and how can students help themselves to succeed in the course?
Well, one of the things I always tell the students to do is to set up a WhatsApp group for themselves so that student interaction among themselves is very important. Okay, because if you can't understand something, you can just pick up the WhatsApp, pick up your phone, go into WhatsApp, the group that you've created, and just type in the question that you need, that you want to ask the students, and someone or the other will read it, and of course will give their point of view. And if they cannot understand, then they, of course, I am the last resource that is there for them. They can always contact me, but student interaction is very important because that adds to the excitement and the level of satisfaction of doing the course. Because when you pass a course, then you are also creating certain memories from the course with all the other fellow students that you have. You end up becoming friends. Okay, some are stay acquaintances, but you stay in touch with them, knowing how they are doing. Success for me, in my eyes, would be for the students to say, I passed the exam. I'm very excited. Now I'm good. That's only passing the exam is only the end goal of it, but the journey to that end goal is what is as well important. Okay, and that's got to be pleasant, and that's got to be memorable. So for some it may be, for some it may not be, because no matter because they have other circumstances, they might be busy at home with work and all, and they have to struggle and make time to study. But at some point during these 12 weeks, I have found that every student has found it to be very satisfying. Being part of a group learning, a group learning environment is very good, very helpful. It facilitates positive learning. Okay, so that's the important thing.
Awesome. So I have a few questions left. Before I ask them, I am going to pass the mic off to Maggie so she can
Okay.
talk about admission and some other course details.
Hello, Lindsay. Nice to meet you.
You too.
And Sam, thank you for sharing a lot of information about you and the course. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie, Admissions Officer for Continuing Education. And Ashton College offers the Canadian Securities Course that deals on securities and mutual funds. We deliver this course in partnership with the Canadian Securities Institute, or the CSI, as the course provider. We will cover the most important areas to successfully prepare the students to write the CSC examination. The course is live online. That will be starting on July 15 till September 30, 2021. Again, the start date is on July 15 till September 30. The webinars will be held every Thursday from 5 till 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The registration fee for this course is $649. And the good news to all the potential students, you can take 10% off your registration fee when you register for the July intake. No admission requirements, as you only need to register to be automatically enrolled. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me via email at ceinfo@ashtoncollege.ca or by phone at 604-891-1256. Back to you, Lindsay. Thank you.
Maggie, I just want to point one thing out to all the students, prospective students, is that when they do take the course and when they register with Canadian Securities Institute for taking the course, they have to choose one of the options in case they prefer a printed text or an online textbook.
Correct.
So if they prefer a printed text, Canadian Securities Institute does charge you an extra, I think, $100 for the textbook, which they then have it couriered to you. Depending upon how comfortable you are, whether if you're old school like me, you prefer having a physical textbook in your hands when you study, or if you're definitely a millennial, then you're quite comfortable using a tablet to study. So do keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, thanks, Sharma. Sam, sorry. Also to add on that information, when a student chooses the cheapest bundle, if you are an Ashton College student, you also get 10% off. So thank you for the reminder. Thanks.
And I believe there is a Q&A question that you can answer, Maggie.
Okay. It says that CSC course refundable by OSAP for newcomers. I'm not sure what OSAP is.
Okay, I can answer that.
Perfect.
Thank you for the
Sure.
question. Okay, this one is actually the duration of the course is 12 weeks, as mentioned by our instructor, 12 weeks with 30, total of 36 hours of instruction. I believe this is not part, and you cannot find this course on the list of OSAP funding, as this is a part-time course, and actually it's a preparation course. It's not a program, so it's not eligible for OSAP funding.
Okay. Maggie, what is OSAP?
Those who are like, if you're a student of Ontario, province of
Okay.
Ontario, that is the regulatory body for student
Oh,
loans.
okay, got it. Okay.
Oh, we both learned something. Perfect. Thank you, Maggie. Awesome. So on to the next question. Do you have any students who are brand new to the industry, which I believe you did mention, or perhaps changing careers with something radically different? If so, do you have any words of wisdom for them or anything to help them succeed in the course?
Um, I've had new students, as well as I've had students who have changed careers midway through the life. So I've had both students, both types of students that have come to me and discussed everything with me, and it's always been kind of interesting to see how committed, how excited, and how determined they are. My suggestion to everybody is that take it the 12 weeks course. Okay, take it to be the 12 weeks where you're going to give your full, your best, okay, to this course, to study, to learn, and to pass the exam in the 12 weeks. So be disciplined, take a very disciplined approach before and after class. Make sure you study, you read on a weekly basis. I would suggest you'll need at least anywhere from, depending upon your level of understanding, anywhere from 2 hours to 5 hours of reading and studying. Uh, it could be someone who's brand new and doesn't know much will have to do some extra research to understand certain concepts. I am available to do that as well. I don't have an issue, a problem with that. But most important is, if you are taking on this course and you want to be successful and you want to be really move on and get to the next step in your career, my suggestion to you is treat these 12 weeks as, you know, as if your life depended on it. Put your best in, do your best, study hard, and study smart. Okay, not just put in an extra hours, 5 hours, 10 hours of studying and not understanding anything is not the solution. Smart, be a smart student, study smart, and be a smart. Also be a disciplined student. That's what I would suggest to you, all of you, whoever are the prospective students.
Awesome words of wisdom right there. So, how has the industry changed during your years of experience? You mentioned it's more regulated, but how else has it changed?
Well, as an example, I'm going to give you. You had the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s, where people back in the 90s and the 2000s, you want to apply for a loan, you're at the mercy of a bank, okay, or a credit union. Your credit's not good, you still need a loan. You've got the a lot of lenders who lend to you at extremely high interest rates. Okay, banks have very strict lending guidelines, and also being a large player in the market and all, they also have to keep their loan losses in check and all. So they have to have a, and I'm not saying that others don't do that. Okay. um, but the important thing to know is that um, now, with ever since, as an example, I give you 2012, 2013. There's a new company that came in in this landscape, which is the financial services landscape. It's called Mogo, Mogo, and that is a fintech company. They don't depend upon profits. I'm sorry, deposits to raise money to lend, as most of the banks and credit unions do. Their source of funding, their source of raising money is totally different, and they everything, you don't have to go and see a person see a person at a physical location. You just go online, type it in. You say you need a loan for this amount or whatever it is, and you type it in, and everything, the it's information systems that are there in place that will do all the processing and all, and decide what amount you qualify for or not. Now, the beauty of this thing is some people who might have excellent credit might get anything like a large amount without their need to be, but the ones who might have had not a bad credit, but kind of, some late payments here and there, kind of a thing, the system might not help. So for that, they've got their a live person who then picks up the application and looks at it, calls you, and all on the phone. And once you all agree on what needs to be done, they send you all the documents by email, and you just docu-sign them and send them back. So here you go. You saved yourself, I don't know how many hours. Okay, and the banks are starting to feel threatened by that. Mogo was the first one. Now you've got others coming in, and now you've got blockchain technology that's coming in, the cryptocurrencies and all. So landscape is changing now. Sometimes you don't even need to pay cash or pay a currency like the dollar. You can just pay in bitcoins. Okay.
Would you work with a client that would ask you for help with their cryptocurrency?
I've had and I think last two groups before, I did have a client who wanted to understand about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. So yes, I was able to guide him to where to read what kind. I provided him with handouts, like reading handouts on what they are, and how they work, and what are the different players, and asked him to research the internet as well. Very interesting concept. Something that is becoming very popular now.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when Bitcoin was like $27 back in the mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I keep thinking about it. It's like going back to 1999, and I'd say, "Oh my God! If I'd only bought Amazon stock then, that was only $10 at that time." Okay, yeah, there always will be the newcomers who will be
Mm-hmm.
success in the industry. There will be newcomers who may not survive for long and get eaten out by the competition. So it's a constantly evolving landscape in the financial services industry. Okay.
Wow, I didn't even think of the cryptocurrency, honestly. That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So before we move to Q&A, I just want to ask if you have any final words of advice you want to share, or just any thoughts that you want to share with the group.
Oh, just want everybody to know that the approach, the approach that Ashton College and the instructors, that including me, take with respect to students, is to ensure that from day one you are comfortable and feel kind of secure in that you are in a very secure environment, a learning environment, where the goal is to ensure that you learn and get something out of value from the course and the teaching, the whole process. And for any help, of course the instructor is available to help you out and answer your questions. And of course, I mean, I case by case basis, right? You get to see. I've always found brilliant students who've been there, some that I know in the last 8 years that I've kept in touch with, who've gone to be like one guy's become a vice president, wealth management in RBC. So I've got to see people do that. So I'm here to help. I'm here to teach and make sure that you get something of immense value from Ashton College and myself. Okay. And that's what our goal is, and that's what we strive for.
Awesome. That sounds great. So Rika, do we have any Facebook Live questions?
Hey guys, we do have one question from Facebook. Someone is asking, how is the CSC different from the Canadian Investment Funds course? They seem to both deal with investment and portfolio management.
Actually, I do beg to differ with that. Uh, the Canadian Investment Funds course is more focused on mutual funds. Okay, that means they're focused purely on mutual funds, on selling mutual funds. If you want to be able to sell mutual funds, you have to clear this course, get the license to be able to sell the funds, and that's great. Okay, so it does serve that purpose. So does the Canadian Securities Course. Initial purpose that it serves is allows you to get a license to sell mutual funds. Then you take if you want to move on in your career and grow, and you want to, then it prepares you to take some other courses, like you take the Conduct and Practices Handbook exam. There's also, if like as an example, derivatives is a class of assets or class of investments. Well, quite risky, I'll say, but if someone wants to get involved in selling derivatives, okay, there is one further step they have to take and do the derivatives financing derivatives course, learning course through the Canadian Securities Institute, and then you're able to join a dealer or a firm that deals purely with trading in derivatives. Okay, and people find that very exciting because that is a very fast-moving world. Okay, highly risky. Okay, you could make tons of money or you could lose it all. Okay, so it's very interesting, and I believe that with Canadian Securities course, you're broadening your horizons. Okay, like for your career wise.
Okay, so it sounds like if you just take the CFI or the other one that was mentioned,
Yeah,
you only can do mutual funds. But if you then want to do something else, the CSC gives a nice foundation to then move upwards or broaden, as you say. Okay,
Right.
perfect. So it looks like we have something on the Zoom chat. Okay, so oh, it looks like Maggie might handle that, but maybe you can just clarify. So our Ashton College CSC course is kind of more of a prep course, and then you go to the CSI Institute to take the exam, correct, for the CSC designation? Okay, and then so it looks like, okay, so that person looks, okay. So look like you can take the prep course, and then if you fail the first time for the exam, can you retake the exam without doing the prep course again, or what's the protocol if you fail the first time for the exam?
I'll answer that for you if it's okay. I've had some students who've done the course, the prep course, and then what has happened is they didn't pass the exam. All you have to do is re-register for the exam one more time. Um, I I think they charge a fee of I think about $100 to re-register and take the exam again. You can just do that after 30 days after the previous attempt. That is, but I think in 1 year you're allowed to take the exam 3 times, including the initial attempt that you're allowed. But for the other two attempts, you'll have to pay a fee of $100 for each attempt. That's how it'll be. And very few students who've had to take the exam second time, but I haven't had any student who's had to take it 3 times. Okay, second time they've passed it, and yeah, and I think it's not a big deal. Do not get disheartened if you don't pass it the first time. It's because the way the questions are structured, they're tricky and can trick you into thinking of the wrong answer. And when I teach in the course, I always point that out, and I do give exam tips on what all to do in order to avoid getting confused by the question that's been presented to you in an exam. Okay, so
Perfect. Thank you. I think that clarified. Awesome. So I believe we have no further questions. So anyone can reach out to Maggie if they have questions, or just check out our website at ashtoncollege.ca to find out more.